You're listening to the Last Man In podcast. Covering Winnipeg hockey and the NHL.
Scheifele dances his way in. Scheifele scores! Blake Wheeler finds the far corner. And the Winnipeg Jets win it in overtime.
Woo, woo, woo.
Welcome back, Last Man In podcast, episode 137, or as we would like to call it, back to its roots. Dan, Cameron, Greg here.
Oh, yeah. First time in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Forgot what you guys look like.
Life's been busy for certain people. Not Cameron, because he's on every
Fuck, I'm always
podcast.
here.
But
everybody
myself
else.
and Dan, we have
Everybody else.
We have lots of things to do. Dan's got more adulting. I've got just more other things going on.
Stuff.
I got nothing.
Yeah, like
I got nothing, and I still don't watch Jets games.
Dan's outside adulting, looking to buy a house so we can have a new studio.
Yeah, he needs 3 bedrooms for sure.
Exactly.
Because one of them we're going to live in.
Exactly.
right?
We're gonna have bunk beds.
Yeah, more activities.
Yeah,
clearly.
exactly.
Yeah.
All the activities.
We'll share with the
We
dogs,
actually
huh?
get the master bedroom with the bunk bed, because then there's even more room for activities. They get some shitty second bedroom.
Sure. Hey,
And then the
that's
dog gets another
Do you
bedroom.
think anyone's ever bought a house
That will happen, yes.
and not lived in the master bedroom?
I've thought about it. Like, when I want to buy a house, if I get a roommate, what other incentive would you have for somebody to be like, here, have the master bedroom, so you have the ensuite and everything, and then you can have the whatever, the
Everything else.
Yeah.
We looked at a house that had 4 bedrooms, and there was a room upstairs that was a nice, decent-sized master bedroom, but then there was a bigger bedroom in the basement.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I'm like, do you sleep in the basement in the bigger bedroom, or do you sleep upstairs?
Yeah.
What do you do? I don't know.
But it's the same, like,
That's okay.
there was one place I was looking at when I was looking for places. I was looking at a condo, and I would have needed a roommate to to be able to afford everything, to make sure I could still live. And I would have given my roommate the master, and I would have had the really small bedroom, because I've lived in a small bedroom my whole life. I'm used to it. So be like, here's incentive to come live with me, instead of like, hey, come pay $750 a month.
Except for that week,
And you get that
like
shitty-
watched that house for like your cousin, and you lived in like a mansion.
Yeah. My
Remember
brother,
that?
Yeah, my brother's house, yeah.
Oh, that
It's
was
a big
awesome.
house,
Yeah, I remember
It's a
that.
big house.
That was not a
Sweet.
small bedroom.
No.
He had the whole house to
The
himself.
whole house, yeah, it's nice. They have 4 bedrooms there. That's awesome. Okay, hockey, sports. We're gonna talk lots have happened since last time we met, and we're actually doing an afternoon podcast. We haven't done this since the OG, like year 1.
OG.
It's been quite some time.
We're getting older, yet we can do a podcast on a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, I know.
Life goals.
Priorities.
Okay, so today we'll talk about the Jets. There was a Travis Yost article that I want to talk about. Obviously, they play the Flyers today, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then they also played the Wild on Sunday. They played other games, so we don't have to worry about that.
They did.
The Wild game I want to talk about. Yeah, because our last podcast
That
was Sunday.
game was wild.
Exactly. There's some Thrasher stats Dan wants to talk about. Then obviously we have to touch on the USA women's boycott of the World Championships because of pay. Toronto, we got to talk about the Leafs because that's why I'm here. The Leafs are in a playoff spot. Then there's some comments being made about the current playoff structure, and we'll talk about that, as well as the Kings, the Flames. We'll talk about the YouTube comments that we've had, as well as get to our emails, and then last but not least, we'll talk about He Sheer Hopefuls.
That's a lot of stuff.
He Sheer Hopefuls. You're
Yeah.
just writing off Nolan?
I'm writing off Nolan. Is now He Sheer Hopefuls.
I thought
Is that not a better name though?
Nico Nolan? Non. The non.
No, He Sheer Hopefuls.
He Sheer Hopefuls?
Yep.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, you know what? I'll save it for when we get there, because I got a thought on that.
Okay.
Not the name, on the actual 2 players.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so the first thing we'll start off with, Travis Yost released an article saying that the Jets statistically are the biggest disappointment this year.
Like from last year to this year?
From last year to this year, changes in power play percentage, penalty kill percentage, save percentage, all those like main stats. The only thing that's gone up is goal scoring.
No?
And
Everything
you
else
could
is pretty much
How
dropped.
much by goal scoring, though?
Quite a
Quite a
bit.
bit.
They're like top 6.
No, I mean, like
Yeah,
from last year to this
a
year,
lot,
is there...
a lot.
Okay. Because I was good. Yeah, then maybe it's... Yeah, they're shooting more because of... They do have...
It's
a-
hard-
So
it's hard to argue.
when you hear biggest disappointment, do you think Winnipeg Jets, or are you thinking something more along the lines of like an LA Kings or a Vancouver Canucks or a...
It's hard.
I never factor in Canucks any season.
What I'm saying.
Ever. Even
No.
if there's a fire.
Well, I'm thinking like...
Or the Lightning
I don't
or something
think about...
like that.
You see, it's
Islanders.
funny because I never thought about Winnipeg being a disappointment. But then when you look at the numbers, yeah, it's true.
Or the Dallas Stars.
Well, no, that's the other
The thing
that
with the
popped.
Jets is, like, points-wise, they're right where they were last year. They'll actually probably finish a little higher than they did last year in terms of points. Statistically, individually, this is the best year they've ever had. They've got 3 guys with 60 points right now. They've got 5 guys with 20 goals.
Remember that time when
That's
Andrew
never
Ladd led
happened
the team
before.
with 59 points?
Yeah.
I
so
remember.
Yeah.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah.
individually, it's been fantastic, but as a team, they've basically stayed in the same place. And certain parts of their game are like their defense is awful. Their power play and their penalty kill is worse. I
But
mean,
then again, you could attribute their defense being awful to, once again, they've had so many injuries. Like, look at their deco. What's their deco
You
for
can-
tonight? Because
yeah.
against Minnesota, it
But
was something. else.
Nelson Noje is making his NHL debut today.
Oh, emergency call.
the year they made the playoffs,
I believe he'll be playing tonight.
the year they made the playoffs, Bufflin, Enstrom, Stewart, and Trouba all got hurt at the same time for like 2 months.
I remember that. That's
And
when
they were
went
okay because they played solid defense.
and they got Jay Harrison, which helped.
They don't play defense well.
They don't.
It might be a combination of the guys they have, but it's also a combination of they don't play defense well.
Their system doesn't play defense.
And their forwards don't play defense well. Like
So how do you teach?
Nick
That's
Ehlers,
something
as
you
great
have
as
to work
Ehlers
on.
has been offensively, he's awful defensively.
That's something that comes
You can
down to coaching, and that's a systems thing. That's either assistant coach or whatever. Like, that could be head coach. But you look at great defensive teams that comes from coaching. You know, you don't... There are players that obviously naturally are great defensively, but it's something to make a team a defensive team, and that's what you need to be successful in the playoffs.
Well, and especially just even in the conference they're in, being in the West, it's always known from, at least when I was growing up, I noticed that the West, the way that they built their teams was a back end forward.
Yeah.
As opposed to the East, they built it from the forwards back.
Well,
The East were always known for scoring. The West was always known for more defensive, low-scoring games. At least that's what I noticed when I was growing up.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is think of the 2 most predominant centers in the Western Conference while we were growing up. Were Steve Yzerman and Joe Sakic, who could play both ends of the ice.
Yeah.
They could score, but, I believe Steve Yzerman won whatever award that was for defensive forward
Selke.
a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And then you look at today, who are the biggest Selke winners? Taves, Kopitar, and obviously Bergeron's
No,
in there.
but Taves and Kopitar are first ones in my head, and I'm
Exactly.
like, well, yeah, okay, they went. They've both won.
And that's...
Taves has 3 cups. Kopi's got 2 cups. Yeah.
So that's where that comes from. So I think that you need to have that defensive presence. Like, nobody, if you look at the lineup, there's no real defensive centerman for the Jets. There's no shutdown line that the Jets have.
I mean,
Jets used to have that when
Adam
Felipe was
Lowry
here.
is probably the closest thing they have,
Yeah,
and he's
exactly.
still growing into that.
Mhm.
But even then, when you
But-
said best defensive, I also think of face-off wins, and if that comes into play for defense, then I would put Brian Little in because he's by far got. I
Well,
don't
and I
know
think-
stats-wise
I
if
think
he's
it-
got the best, but I trust him the most. At
Well,
it.
and
what
you
was
have
the
to look
line-
at the guys like Wheeler. He plays penalty kill.
Yeah.
You know, like guys like that understand, and guys like Line and Ehlers and Scheifele, it's going to take them a while to balance out scoring and playing solid defensive.
Yeah. What was that line?
Guys, we made it 8 minutes without mentioning Line, so I think we got to give ourselves a pat on the back. That was a long time.
Okay.
Did
That's
it?
a long time.
But what were you gonna say? What was that line that Frolik played on?
Yeah, what was the line for Leak was on?
Dan and Elvis before
In-
anyone.
Because that
Was he on the
that
team
was-
the year they made the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it was
I don't remember.
Perot?
Perot,
Perot
maybe?
and Lowry, maybe.
Maybe.
No, he was with, wasn't it for League? I don't even remember.
For Leak Little Lad, maybe?
Maybe. Kane? Was he with Kane?
No, because Kane was
Kane
gone.
wasn't on the team when they made playoffs.
He was here for half that year.
Yeah,
No, but-
when they made playoffs
yeah.
is what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so
well,
like
I don't.
Frolik,
Stepniak, maybe?
maybe Stepniak, maybe it was,
Zalusti? I don't know. They had so many veteran
but
guys.
maybe
that
Frolik and
year.
Stafford,
Stafford and Perot.
maybe. But regardless, they had
Or
a
Scheifele.
line
Scheifele,
that
Frolik,
was.
and I don't.
I don't remember either, but maybe they had a defensive line, and that really helps. Right now, they just seem to be gung ho offensively, and that was the biggest knock the Dallas Stars had last year, and we've seen how much they've regressed this year. And that might also come down to puck luck, where the Jets have one of the highest shooting percentages in the league. Like, their goals per game and shooting percentages are the only thing that are up from last year.
And you have to think if they commit to playing better defensively, the goal scoring will probably drop a little bit.
But your goals against will also probably drop.
You can shore up your defense enough and maybe beef up your bottom two lines so that those guys are taking majority of the in zone time, like defensive zone time. Then you give guys like Line A and Scheifele the time on the power play, the offensive zone time to still score.
They need to simply be a better power play team when they take advantage, and they need to take less penalties.
Better power play, penalty kill needs some work. I mean, honestly, it starts with the goaltending, which needs help. It goes to the defense, which I think they can shore up, and they need to move some pieces out of here because it's been the same guys for 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, they got to change it up a little bit. I understand that they've been bringing, like, Morrissey came up. He's been fantastic.
Are we talking trade Bufflin?
But
I'm talking don't sign Postma. How about that?
Yeah,
Postma.
don't sign
That's
Postma.
problem one.
Why do they bring him back year after year?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
He scored the first goal in the first preseason game.
Guys like Enstrom and Bufflin, they've been here since the beginning. At some point, you have to look at them and say, it's not working. I don't remember a team that is stuck to their core this long with a team that's never done anything. This group of players has never done anything, yet they keep coming back with it.
Philadelphia Flyers.
No, I was just thinking.
They change
all the time.
They've changed Carter and Richards, but they still have, like, since Carter and Richards, which was 2012?
I could start naming the players they've traded since then because it's a whole roster.
Is it?
But what
Okay.
does it say about your team when you have guys like Line A and Scheifele and Ehlers doing as well as they are and you still can't progress as a team? They're no better than they were slightly better than last year, but they're still not.
And they added
I wouldn't
a generational
call this season
talent.
a success.
No. They added a generational talent, and they're going to become maybe 2 points better than what they were last year.
Next year they cannot be in this position, and they can't go backwards.
I think next year it's playoffs or bust.
Playoffs are big changes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, big. Like,
that third line was Frolik, Scheifele, Hallerchuk for the majority of the season.
Oh, okay.
What
they need to do is they need to make, like, we've talked about it, and I think what it was is I think it was the Travis Yost comment. I commented on my Facebook page on, like, whatever the thread was for. I think it was this article or something. And basically what I came down to it as is I said they need to get out of the safe play mode. What's hurt them hasn't, like, because they were comparing like the Jets to what the Oilers and what was the other team? Panthers maybe? It was another whatever, regardless. And I said, well, you look at what the Oilers did is they said, well, we need to finally do something. We need to finally change. So they traded Taylor Holloway, brought in Adam Larson, they signed Cam Talbot, they signed Milan Lucic. They made outside hires and developed a team that's now making the playoffs this year.
And then on the deadline, they made moves that, like, some people are like, oh, David Desharnais not going to do anything, but they needed a third-line center who wins faceoffs, and he rarely loses them.
I don't think the changes the Jets need to make are big.
No, neither do I.
Except,
I'm just saying.
Except in goal. They need to go and get the best free agent goalie they can get this year.
But you wonder why teams like Washington, Anaheim, LA, San Jose, Pittsburgh make the playoffs year after year after year is because they go out and they make aggressive moves. Yes, that Erat for Philip Forsberg trade for Washington looks terrible, but now they have TJ Oshie, they have the talented in Burakovsky, they have the talent in Evgeny Kuznetsov.
Well, and they knew they had Kuznetsov coming in.
Exactly.
And
so
to be fair,
they were allowed to. They weren't scared to make
the year the Jets made the playoffs. They did exactly that.
Yeah, they made them.
But the problem is, the last 2 years they've been in this spot where when the time has come for trade deadline, they're not in a good position.
Yeah, that's true.
So whether that
they're like too far out.
So they aren't.
The one time they made a bold move, they made playoffs.
They aren't in. So I mean, like, but they were in a playoff spot.
They were already there.
That's what I mean.
You're right.
So you're telling us basically make sure they're in the spot.
Well, I don't know. Like, does that make the GM not like cautious, saying, "Oh, you know what? Let's just wait," or does that make them not an attractive option?
But Edmonton, here's the thing: Edmonton wasn't in a play. Like, they hadn't made the playoffs for how long, and then they decided to be bold. They got out. They got Talbot. They picked up Adam Larson, and then they got Milan Lucic, and this has turned into, yes, the Pacific Division is pretty bad when you look at it on paper. They have become a better team because of it.
I mean, the only really bad team is Coyotes. Everyone else is pretty. I mean, the Kings, you can argue, are not, but I mean,
I also don't think the Ducks are going to be anything special once playoffs.
But you have to look at playoffs. Like, I mean, Calgary's doing really well. Edmonton's doing really well.
Calgary turned it around, though. They were weak for a long time.
The Jets don't need big change. Well, I mean, maybe they needed another Kane trade, like another player for player with big time players. I don't know.
And maybe make a free agent signing that's worth it.
But I don't think their supporting cast. Like I think their top 6 is fine.
Yeah.
I think their top 4D is fine if Myers is healthy, and you don't include Toby, and now you go Myers buffed, Morrissey, Trouba.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. It's their bottom pair defensemen and their bottom 6 forwards and their goaltending that needs work.
So you know
Even
how
their
you get
third
those?
line, if it's Lowry, Armia, Matthias next year, if that makes it, did they make it through the expansion draft? Their fourth line needs to be better, and their bottom 2D need to be much better. And goaltending, they need a number 1 goalie.
Yep.
Not this guy might be a number 1. He's never been number 1 before. They need a number 1 goalie.
So Marc-Andre Fleury, Ben Bishop,
Fleury,
Jimmy
Howard, Bishop,
I'm not against
Elliott, someone like that.
Well, I'm not against them going out and signing a guy
Ryan
like that,
Miller.
but maybe also
Someone.
the problem is the goalie coach.
Well,
And I say this
Even
because look at
defensive
Hutch. When he
coach.
was Hutch AHL, didn't he get nominated for AHL Goalie of the Year?
Yeah.
And didn't Hellebuck get nominated for that? If not,
Not
his-
AHL. He was college. He was.
still both of them for phenomenal. And
Yeah.
then they come to the Jets and it's all gone suddenly.
Well,
like I know the
think
Jets aren't
that's
strong
different
defensively, but like
the entire coaching staff is their contracts are up after next year.
oh,
the other
well,
thing-
never mind. It'll do
Everybody.
itself. It'll do
The
it
other,
for me.
the other thing too with Hellebuck, because you look at both college and the AHL, they're just average on average lower scoring leagues. Maybe not so much college, but definitely AHL is lower scoring,
Oh yeah.
much lower scoring. So some games, and then you get a random 7-1 game every once in a while too. So it's just one of those things where they have to bring in some veteran help, whoever it is, especially in the goaltending position. But I think they need to make something happen in free agency. Instead of standing pat every year with, this is the team we're going to have, instead of making small, like, the Matthias signing was fantastic. It's a good signing. It's worked out. Unfortunately, he was hurt for portions of this year. That sucks. But you need to go out and you need to sign guys and make smart deals. You know, you need to make those depth signings that work. You know, think about what they did with Kyle Wellwood. Like, that was a depth signing that worked.
Look at Stepniak, the year
Yeah.
that they got him. He was one of their best players for the
Yeah.
playoff for the whole rest of the season, right?
Exactly. And now he's still being a contributor wherever he goes.
So
It's going to be, and then maybe they need to make a deal kind of like what the Wild did with Eric Stahl and give a guy a 3-year deal. Or that's cheap.
They
and
can't-
make him prove it.
they can't come back next year and say, maybe. So I don't think they can come back next year and bring up prospects to fill in their gaps next year, and that's okay. That's not okay. They need to go and get veteran guys to fill those gaps right now.
I agree with you.
I think they aren't too young, but they're bordering on too young right now. Not enough veteran presence,
Oh, that's what I was saying.
I think. But
Go.
but it's
That's
also
where
probably
it came
not
from.
going to be easy for them to attract big time free. They're going to have to probably go the trade route to get a good goalie. Because name one, unless they vastly overpay, name one starting goalie that'll pick Winnipeg as their number 1 choice, right?
No, very few. But that's
You know.
the other thing too is I
So-
think they also have the opportunity to be like Jimmy Howard would be
Someone
an option.
trade. Someone with a trade.
Yeah. Regardless, where that comment came from, where I said, the boldness came from actually that same Travis Yost article that said biggest disappointment, and people were pointing at the age, saying, "Well, this is the youngest team in the league. Oh, this team is so young. They are the 25th ranked age team, so they are the 25th oldest team in the league, or the sixth down here,
Sixth youngest. Okay.
whatever." The 30th team is the Edmonton Oilers, who are in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
The 29th team, 29th team was Edmonton. 30th team is the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Playoffs.
And what have they done
Potentially the best
recently?
team in the league this year.
And what have they done recently? They pulled the biggest trigger trade in recent memory with the Seth Jones Ryan Johansson trade.
Oh,
They went
one
out and
for
they got-
one, that was phenomenal.
They got bold. They went risky and went out and got Tortorella, which has worked wonders for them. They've made different plug-in trades. They traded Rick Nashaway. He was Columbus hockey. Got Nick Foligno and these plug-in guys that have really helped their team out.
They got rid of
Well,
a
you
young
have
guy
to-
in Broussard, brought in Anisimov, and
But you have to look, too.
someone else in there.
Their goaltending's phenomenal. Their power
Yeah.
play is great. That
Yeah.
makes a big
No,
difference.
I know it makes a big difference, but that's what I'm saying
Systems.
is like they also went out and they got Bobrovsky from Philadelphia, who was somewhat washed up. And then you look at Toronto, who's the 28th youngest team, and they're in a playoff spot currently. And they decided to blow everything up. They got lucky with some draft picks, but they've also said, we're going to go out and we're going to get a guy like Matt Martin who helps with the leadership. We're going to go and spend for Freddie Anderson. And it's just little things and little signings that are going to propel you to making the playoffs. And it helps. It helps to be bold. It does not help to be conservative. You look at every team that wins. And they go all in. They have to push towards something.
See, and I'm still like...
And saying we're going to get better through prospects every year. And you can keep using that, but eventually that cupboard's going to run dry. And if you don't have anything to represent that cupboard of amazing prospects... What was the point of the last 10, 15 years if you have nothing for those prospects?
But it's a fine line too, right? Because you look at the Jets and the Flames and the Avalanche of the last 3 years. 1 year they make the playoffs, the future is great. The next year, nothing. So teams like Toronto, Edmonton, Calgary, if they all make the playoffs this year, it's way too early to say they're there. Because next year...
I'm not saying they are there.
I'm just saying, because next year those teams could completely go backwards. But... it seems like they're on the right track, right? And the Jets have seemed like they're on the right track, and they've always said the next good young team is this team, but they keep staying in the same place.
Yeah. Okay, so we got to move on.
Whatever, yeah, I don't know.
Actually, I just want to mention on a note, now that we're talking about, Jets and Leafs, did you know that the Leafs
were the first team since the 92-93 Winnipeg Jets to have 3 rookies over 50 points?
And what does that do for my bold prediction?
Put all and you won your bold prediction.
I did it! My bold prediction happened! All 3 Leafs rookies, 50 points!
I think a couple of
I didn't count Hyman. I didn't know he was going to be
Or Connor Brown.
I didn't count him either. I said the big 3. I said the big 3.
Yeah.
Oh, and
but those guys aren't 50-point guys.
Exactly.
Okay.
My bold prediction from last year's retroactive as well. Cam Talbot has 7 shutties. There's 11 games left, baby. You give me that much shutty and I get more right. It's retroactive. Screw you guys.
Okay. So ahead of the Flyers game, what should we watch in this Jets game tonight? Who's there to watch? I think Nelson Nogier is the player to watch.
I'm excited about
their defense is going to be interesting because they've got 3 guys up from the Moose right now.
Melchiori, Nogier.
Straight.
What do you think?
Straight and Shifley assisted to Morrissey with that game winner on
Shakes.
Shakes against
in almost a Toronto-esque collapse.
Yeah,
up 4-0.
4-0. They give up 4 goals in the second, and that's right when I started watching.
You know that when Dubnyk's giving up 4 goals on 8 shots, the Hellebuck has to be worse. It's just science.
But the other thing is statistically, this season,
science.
I don't know if there's been a team that's allowed more goals in the second period than the Winnipeg Jets. And they continue to prove they're a great first period team, and they'll start off strong.
And they're a great third period
team. They love
second.
Exactly. They can get they can get consistency for 60 minutes. They're a different team.
Have you seen their record when they're leading and going into the third period? They've lost twice. And they've won 20 some odd games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Nice. Who else to look for? Well, I'm excited for Nogier. I want to see who they pair him with. Be cool to see if they won't do this. But it'd be super cool to see him paired with Morrissey because they played together for a year and a half with Prince Albert Raiders.
Yeah. So. They put Straight with Morrissey on because Morrissey is the guy that they now consider him. If someone's coming up and they're new, that Morrissey's the guy they play with because he's solid.
Great. Is Morrissey okay? This isn't really much of a comparison. But if Trouba is Keith, is Morrissey Seabrook to the team? No, the different roles. I trust Morrissey on the ice way more than Trouba.
I would argue that that's maybe the way it could develop, but I think Morrissey has more potential than a Seabrook.
Where is Jacob Trouba? By the way, did I miss something?
I don't know.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
He got
because
in that fight.
He got in that fight with
break his hand on the helmet.
I don't know.
It's upper body.
That was the best fight I've seen all year.
That was a good one.
That was fantastic because they had no structure to the fight. They were all guns ablaze, and they just
trying to think. Who I would compare it to. I'm trying to think what pairings I would compare it to.
You know what?
You could almost look at
Morrissey, the way he plays. Like, this is a real bold.
McInnes Pronger. There you go.
Okay.
That's super bold, and that is super far. But
they're both very offensive-minded.
Hard-nosed offensive guys, because Chris Pronger could play both sides of the puck, but he was hard-nosed, and he was tough to go around. That's what Jacob Trouba's developing into. Yeah. Then you have Morrissey, a guy who's shifty, plays a two-way game from the defensive side, but also has an offensive edge to him, kind of like Al McInnes.
That's true.
That's my comparison.
Honestly, the best thing... For
Adam Foote, Rob Blake.
For any Jets fans who want Byfuglien gone, the better those two guys play, the more easy it's going to be for the Jets to dump Buff.
Exactly. And
assuming Trouba sticks around.
Exactly. And I think, you know what, I think if they're talking that next year Morrissey and Trouba are going to be the top pairing. I think he sticks around for that. I think he does.
I think so.
I think he's shown this year he's worth 6.5.
Well, you'll find out
Well,
because
Trouba can play on the right side because Morrissey's a lefty.
Exactly.
anyway,
if
so it
Trouba
doesn't
plays this well next year or keeps getting better, the Jets will pay him whatever he wants. So you'll find out for real if it's the money or if it's.
What's that? Oh, were you at the
he
Minnesota
doesn't
game or
want-
were you watching?
No, I didn't. I didn't even. watch
Okay,
any
well
of it.
they pulled up a graphic in the second intermission. Either way, they were showing like Trouba's time on ice and his numbers and like what those comparable players are getting. The cheapest guy was $7 million.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh no, that's a big one.
He's getting.
I mean, he's fantastic.
If they
getting
could move Buff and sign Trouba, that's huge.
See,
And they're gonna have to sign Morrissey too because
it's going to be very interesting in the next few years with the Jets because just contract wise, because Trouba, if they want to keep him, they're going to have to fork over a big long contract.
But they lose. The thing is
Morrissey-
at the end of that deal, don't they lose? At the end of next year, don't they also lose Enstrom off the books as well?
And
That's-
Stim's off the books next
But
year.
I'm just
So
saying.
that's 5.75.
And Stewart's 2.25.
But
So there you go. There's your Trouba amount.
yeah, but okay, Trouba's going to get big money. I don't think you. Laine's getting a huge contract. He's not getting a bridge. I can guarantee you that right now.
What are you telling me?
They
They're going
will
to sign
throw-
him for as much and as long
No.
as they can?
Yes,
because that's
they
what
will.
every team would do.
They
of
will.
course you would.
2.9 numbers.
No,
Go by numbers.
he's
I think
getting.
he's going to give you the 9.2 deal.
He's
the
getting-
opposite day. You know.
I would start him like he's getting anywhere from 8 to 10 a year. It's just going to happen because he's the
Then
guy.
what do you give Ehlers next year?
And Ehlers, I don't know if he progresses
5.5?
next year. I don't know if you can bridge him.
5.5.
I don't know if you can.
It's a lot of
He was
money
at
in your
5.5.
top line, though.
No, never mind.
He's-
He's up there in points.
He's going to be
That's
60 points. He's got 21
Yeah, no,
goals.
for sure. Yeah.
Then
mean,
do you look
Mor-
at moving Blake Wheeler?
Morrissey, you can probably bridge, but he's about the only one.
Goddamn salary cap era.
I'm just saying it's going to be interesting.
Connor
Shifley's
well,
fine.
Cheveldayoff, if he doesn't already have gray hair, will probably get gray hair from
What's
that
the
year.
rule in the cap right now? Like, you can't pay a player more than 12% of the entire. Connor McDavid's going to get that for sure. I would argue Laine will get probably 8 to 10% of the entire cap for the Jets because
so.
he's the guy who's going to.
Well, 10% of the entire cap's roughly $7.5 million.
Well, then he's for
And
sure.
I hate to say it.
I would be.
I think
would
it's
be-
15%.
I hate to
I'm
say
going to be
it.
shocked if McDavid doesn't get 10 mil a year.
You're better. Like the Jets are better to sign Laine when he's young, when he might be happy here, than wait and then risk a Trouba. I don't want to be here.
Did you
anymore.
hear his comments about the snowstorm of why they had to cancel the New Jersey game?
Trouba or
No, Laine.
No.
I heard that the media said that if we had that weather in Winnipeg and if they canceled games for that weather in Winnipeg, they'd never play. That's what I heard them
Well,
say.
remember the Detroit game?
I heard
You
them say
had-
it wasn't really.
Were you
that
guys
bad.
at the Detroit game? Okay, well, I worked that day, and then I went to the game, but it was snowing all day. It snowed so much, we couldn't pull into our driveway because there was
yeah, I
snow
remember
up
that
to
night.
my knees. So I had to shovel for 2.5 hours
Awful.
just to get all the cars in the driveway after. We parked we live on like a main drag, so we parked our cars across the street. Luckily, we know the people who own the businesses. And they were like, yep, just move it before 1 when our snow removal came. And it was like a race against time. I just barely made that 1 o'clock
What
time.
did he say about the snow?
He's like, well, this is like beach weather.
Well, he's from Finland. I mean,
Exactly.
Finland's not a.
We got to move on to other stuff, though, because we're tight for time,
Yeah.
obviously.
One more Jets thing. Wheeler hit his 500th point.
Okay.
He's the
I'll say
fourth-
2 things.
He's the fourth player from his draft year to do it.
Nice.
Ovechkin, Malkin, and Krejci are the other guys.
Makes sense.
I think.
Saw the Moose. There's a reason Kyle Connor and Jack Roslovic are the only guys scoring. They play together, and everyone else real sucks. Bad. Terrible. Terrible.
Yep.
Tucker Poolman, Jets defensive. He won Defensive Defenseman of the Year in his division of the NCHC and NCAA hockey.
2 years until he's on the Jets. He won't be on
Yeah,
the Jets.
no,
next year.
I'm saying Moose next year.
Jets
the year after.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll need a year of transition.
USA Women's boycott in the U.S. Women's Championship because of pay. Because they're not getting paid enough money. Thoughts?
You know what? I only found out about this like after the fact. Like I guess it didn't come across my feed, so obviously I'm not following the right people. But
Stop following those porn accounts.
Yeah.
I like Girls Daily. Is not what you
yeah,
need to
I
be
know
following.
exactly right. What do I thought? Well, I mean, they do it. The women play more than the men's do, right? I mean, they play year round. They have so many tournaments. Why don't they just Like the issue is funding or the amount that they're getting
The
paid.
amount of money they're
They're
getting
not.
paid.
Yeah,
Because
during the Olympic year, they do not. They get $1,000 a month. Is that what per person?
so
I thought it was like $6,000.
they get $6,000 a year per
That
player.
sucks. It's $500 a
Yeah.
month.
Yeah,
A
not a
stick's
lot of
$200,
That's weak.
$250.
that's weak.
I think that's provided by USA Canada.
Okay, still you can't live off where in
But
in the
that's
cities
I
they
mean,
practice in, which would be Boston, Chicago, Eastern Lansing, Michigan. Like you can't afford to live.
It's
in
the
those cities
best-
for $500 a month.
It's the best women, best American women in the world. They're representing their country. A lot of them don't. They don't practice where they live, like you're saying.
Yeah,
So to pay them that is ridiculous.
I would say you cover all the expenses. Like they win every. If they don't win, they come in second to Canada.
You have to
What do
think-
the Canadian
but you
women
have to
get?
look at
Do
it
we know
too.
that? Oh, we don't.
International hockey, it's not the NHL, right? So like you can argue that the guys that the NHL brings in more revenue, they can pay the guys more. Doesn't matter if they're NHL players. It's not an NHL league. It's Olympic hockey. So if you look at it, why aren't they paid the same? I don't think the guys in the NHL go for the payday. I think they go to represent their country.
but it's about amount of revenue brought in. It's the same as like
I guess.
arguing. There was a thing that was arguing why do the U.S. women's soccer team, why do they make less money than the U.S. men's soccer team? And it's 100% to do with revenue. It's not to do with the gender pay gap. It's 100% to do with how much revenue each team makes. Right? More people are watching the men's soccer team than are watching the women's soccer team. Doesn't matter how well the women do. More people are watching men's hockey versus women's hockey. That's why the CWHL is having a tough time growing. It's still a fun league to watch, and the NWHL is probably going to have to grow as well. But we need to do more to give more exposure to these leagues so they can grow and become more attractive to sponsorships and advertising money, and that's where we have to direct it to. But the truth of the matter is, if you want to talk about a league where their players don't get paid anything, talk about the WHL, talk about the CHL.
Oh, juniors.
Yeah.
Well, they get
They're-
paid. They have a per diem.
Do you know how much it is?
It's minimum wage.
No, it's not.
For sure. It has
No, it's
to.
not minimum wage. They're not paid athletes. It's the same with NCAA. They're not paid athletes.
They get a per diem, so that means you're
You get
getting paid.
$150 a week.
Yeah, but you're
Don't
you're
they
in
usually
high
get their
school.
education
I
covered
know,
for?
but they get their exactly. But
I mean,
what
they're
I'm saying,
kids, right? So
I know.
You're in
but
high
that's
school.
that's
and
a
you're only going to
comparison.
high school than playing hockey, and then you get
And then,
education as well.
Do guys
which
in
is-
but how many guys are there's only so many 16, 17, 18-year-olds. There's a lot of 19 and
do
20.
guys in NCAA get paid?
No.
Or do they just get to school?
They just
get
some of them
school
some of
in
them have
parentheses.
some of them have
come on.
scholarships and some of them don't. Some of them are paying $40,000 a year to also play on the team. But yeah, they get their travel and everything like that covered. So do the women that play USA hockey, but they also get money. All I'm saying is I don't think it's right to be. My opinion is I don't think it's right to be boycotting something that's there to grow the game. You can deal with this issue on your own time, but saying we're boycotting something that's going to help grow our game
No,
and
but
make
now's
it
the
better
time to do it because they're hosting the Women's World Cup. Also,
I give them.
I disagree.
rough year for women's hockey because in the NWHL, which is a National Women's Hockey League based out of the United States, they had salaries, and then about 2 months into the season, I believe, could correct me if I'm wrong, they cut their salaries in half, like without
That's
warning.
bad.
Without
That's bad.
warning, they just straight up did it.
And
I think it's fine for them to like lobby for better pay, and I give them credit for making a stand. Do they have to say we're not playing?
But
I
now's the
don't know.
time to do it because you have the national
Well,
stage.
but I
right?
mean,
Can't be
and
against
also, I mean, if you look at I haven't read the book on the art of protesting, but if you want to make your point, get your point across, then you got to do something that's going to hurt, the other people. Whoever's running the tournament, you have to hurt their cause, right?
that's
So-
fine, but it's about growing the game, and I think that's.
But that they want to. That now's the time to do it because they're on home ice. They have a month till the tournament, Women's World Cup. They're defending world champs
Well, and it's advantageous for them to do this right
because
now
they have the media.
because they
I mean, I get where they're coming from for sure. Like I'm more on the women's side than the business side. Like why not? They do it. They sacrifice more than the men's do. Like the men just show up and play.
Yeah.
I
They have to-
understand why it is the way it is, but I don't agree with it.
Now-
like, I think they have a valid case.
If we're looking at
The
the
women.
business side of it, I
Where does the
guarantee
money
right
come
now-
from?
Well, no, I guarantee you right now. Well,
course.
USA money probably they have some money, but like it's weird that none of the men are speaking up either about it. Like that,
Yeah.
Zach Parise, Ryan Suiters,
Yeah,
like
they're
the
not.
face of like TJ Oshie. Excuse me. What I was gonna say was, USA Hockey's making those phone calls right now for their replacements. Now,
Like
say
U22, U18 players.
Now, hypothetically, say if those women accept those roles as their replacements, and then this deal goes through, are they now going to be blackballed in the dressing room for like the rest of time?
I don't know.
Because you took the side of, you were going to replace us. You weren't with us. You were against us,
Yeah,
which
that's
isn't
tough.
which shouldn't be the case.
It
They
should
just
be.
want to represent their country, and it's like, well, you made the decision not to play for your country, but in a stand of advancing the game. So it'll be really interesting to see.
I think
I want to know the numbers for like Canada, Sweden, like the other top ranked.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. I'm also curious to know what the U18 players get, like the developmental players. What kind of perks are they getting?
Like the women or just men?
No,
too?
like the men that play in the U18 development camps that eventually go into college, go to.
Oh, like the traveling national team? Oh, I bet their parents pay for all that. Like
Okay.
that's super. Like they might get like.
I'm not saying that the women, like I feel that the women should be paid a fair wage, but I think that people right now are telling the NHL should subsidize USA women's hockey, but the NHL has to revenue share already to teams that aren't making money, and now we're getting a 31st team that probably won't make a lot of money.
Why would the NHL? If they do USA, then they have to do everyone else.
I know.
And at that point, where's the money coming from?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
they have to find a way to properly do this that doesn't hurt women's hockey, because I think there is a market there. I just think they have to find and they have to treat this with care and find a proper way to grow this properly.
Have you
It's
seen
not
the
an
arena?
easy. It's not a situation with an easy solution.
No,
Yeah.
You
not
can
at all.
and you understand where both sides are coming from.
Exactly.
That's less than minimum wage for sure, right?
Yeah.
50
Oh,
bucks,
for sure.
$500 a month.
But then again, it depends on where they're based.
That's
out
like a
too.
week's worth of. But
No. I'm saying
that's
like
like a week of working a
also-
full time minimum wage job.
because the states like it's minimum wage, like Canada too.
Yeah,
It's different
but
everywhere. So
they also
the-
have like $7 minimum wage in the U.S. But regardless, we can't stay on this too long. Final talk. Like you want to see women get paid
yeah,
fairly.
of course.
I think it should be fair, but
Yeah, I think it should
I
be fair
watch
as well.
I watched the women's
so do I.
Canada USA women's hockey is fantastic.
The NWHL final just happened. The Buffalo Buttes won 2-1. I forget who they beat, which is hilarious because it's 4 teams. But they won the Isabel Cup. Either way, I was going to say the arenas they play out of has the same capacity as where we play beer league hockey. Like
It's ridiculous.
maybe 500 people tops.
And then
like,
you
it's
have-
ridiculous.
Then you have the CWHL that played their final game in the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, which was between the Montreal Canadiens and the
Toronto Furies, maybe?
Calgary Inferno.
Oh, yeah, right.
And
West Coast.
Canadiens won.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever the
Yeah.
Montreal team. So they won the whatever it's called. I'm sorry. But I actually watched that. That was fun. It was nice to see Sports
the
Center pick it
Clarkson
up.
Cup.
Clarkson Cup. Okay, Daniel Winnick blasts the NHL over the playoff format. This is becoming more of a trend, and it looks like the GMs are going to look to revise it. The whole point of the new format was to make more divisional matchups for the playoffs, but players aren't happy the fact that really being first in your conference doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, look
Yeah,
at
'cause
this
you're
year.
gonna have to play the
team that
second-ranked
finishes
team
first in the
second.
Atlantic will play probably the Rangers,
Who will have more points
who are
than
a
them.
better team. So you're better off to finish second and play the third place team. So, like, hypothetically, right now, Ottawa is in second, but they're better off because they'll play Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Montreal would have to play the Rangers.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything. I mean, Boston could beat Ottawa and Montreal could beat New York, and then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But
Okay, I'm all for. I liked where they were going with like the building divisional rivals, but after 2 years of 3 years, how many?
3
like,
years of this.
why?
3 years of this. I don't like how hypothetically, if playoffs go the way I want it to go, Washington's going to play Pittsburgh in the second round.
Yep.
There's no way that should be a thing. Ever.
So do you go
I
top four in each division make the playoffs? I mean, it's hard right now, right? Because starting next year, 3 divisions will have 8 teams, 1 will have 7.
That's true.
Right.
I would go.
So there's a little bit of it, like, that's the most even way to do it, 4-4-4-4, but then it would only really be even if they add a 32nd team into the Central Division and then make it 8 teams per division, right?
Oh yeah, because Essential only has
So-
7.
Or they go back to top 8 teams in each conference. Doesn't matter what division you're in.
Because if we go to the top 8, then it kills the whole like standings thing. But that's the
But
way
they
it
could
should
do-
be. Just the
It should
top
be
8.
the best teams.
Division
Who
leaders are
fucking
1 and
cares
2.
about, pardon my language. Who cares about divisions? It shouldn't matter. It should be the best teams. And that's the same argument I have in football. It's the same argument I have in baseball. Best teams make it. Who cares what division you're in? Everybody plays the same teams.
Someone proposed something last year, which I love. You just rank the whole league 1 to 16. Doesn't matter where the hell they are.
Travel.
I get that, but that would be fantastic because you're getting something different every year.
Dude, imagine seeing a Chicago-LA Cup final.
But ideally, if travel wasn't an issue, that would be fun. That'd be the best way to do it.
Yeah,
that'd be fantastic.
Well, and it's fun. Like,
I'd love to see Winnipeg and Toronto.
I like the old
1
to 8 system, even though like the top 3 spots were for your division leaders. So you could do 1 to 8, have the top 2 spots for the 2 division leaders, and then just do the next 6 teams.
Yeah.
That's how it should be done.
Yeah, because right now, you were saying the Rangers have less points than Ottawa.
No, they have more points than Montreal, who's leading the Atlantic.
No matter how they do it right now, it's not going to be even because there's an odd number of teams.
Yeah.
There's 16 in the East and there's 15 in the West.
No.
Next year.
I still say top. I'm totally down to top 8 because also then you knew the playoff matches well in advance. Because now I'm like, I have to go to a website. I'm like, wait, who's playing who? I don't get this.
Do the 1 to 8 in the conference thing. When you get to the Final Four, though, rank them 1 to 4 based on how they finished during the year, then play.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That's a good idea, but
it's only 2 rounds that way.
I know.
I get it's travel, but it's only 2 rounds. And maybe you do the 2-3-2 instead of the 2-2-1-1-1.
Oh yeah, that like AHL. I had no issue with that. Like 2-3-2.
But you could have Pittsburgh Washington final, Calgary Edmonton final. Like you could do it like anything really. I think it would be
a Calgary Edmonton final would be awesome.
I'm just saying you could have Montreal Toronto,
or Winnipeg
Montreal,
even Winnipeg Minnesota. Yeah. God, that'd be a lot of money for a lot of people. I'm gonna loop myself into that one because I'd try and go to
Montreal final.
Well, no, I'm just saying like for travel wise. Like if it's
Florida Tampa, huh?
There you go.
That'd be the best. That'd be board short cup.
I think that would, like, if it was Arizona Las Vegas final, Gary Bettman would just nut everywhere. He would be so proud of himself. Look what I did. I did this. Both teams make no money.
I'm the king of the castle. And he puts
we're in the Stanley Cup Finals, and both buildings are selling tickets for $5, and they're still not sold out. But I did this. This was all me. All me.
It's another situation where it's not going to be an easy solution, right?
Yeah. No, exactly.
The thing I think they need to do is they need to change the games, the amount of points awarded in a game. I think every game should be the same amount of points.
Or you just don't have a shootout ever. And get rid of the shootout because it's dumb.
Each game is worth 3 points. You win regulation, you get 3. If it goes to overtime, the winner gets 2, the loser gets 1. Either way, 3 points are being given out in total.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Because some games right now there's 2 points given out, and some games there's 3 points. Or we just don't. Not even.
Or we just don't award loser points.
But you have. Well, you have.
You don't have to. The NBA doesn't do it.
You can go.
The NFL doesn't do it.
So 2 points and then nothing if you lose.
Nothing. Why are we rewarding? It'd be like, hey, good job, you lost today. Here's a trophy.
Well,
right now, the Toronto Maple Leafs have, I believe it's 14 OT losses this year. If they just go to a basic win-loss, they're not even in the playoff picture. And I'm fine with that. You should not be rewarded for losing. Oh, you were so close, here's a point. So either they go to the 3-point system or they abolish the loser point. But the thing is if you look at it, and this is what the NHL wants, well, we have 20 teams that are over 500. Oh, your team's over 500, so it's a successful season. But when you take the loser point out of it, then it's now teams are finishing the year, 34 and 48, 34 and 48, opposed to being 34, 32, and 16. Mm-hmm. Or
look at the year that Florida won the Southeast Division. They had like 21 overtime losses.
Exactly. So if they go to that, it could be interesting.
I just want to mention 2 notes. Those 2 outdoor games, one officially announced, one allegedly speculated.
Ottawa, Montreal
at Lansdowne Park, which is TD Field, which is where the
Ottawa Red Blacks play.
Yeah, and standings without the extra is 24,000, so that's good. It's probably going to be like 30, 32 or something. Yep. The other one, so Citi Field is in Brooklyn, which is where the New York Mets play. So you'd think the Islanders will get to play there because that's closer to where they play out of Brooklyn. But the Rangers get to play it, allegedly against the Sabres. What is that shit?
Why is it? I thought they were not doing baseball fields anymore. I thought they were only doing football fields.
It's expected to be announced within the next, before the end of the season.
Just to point to the loser point, I'm just doing a quick calculation right now. So if you look at Toronto and Winnipeg, they're 10 points apart right now.
Yeah.
If you take out Toronto's 15 overtime losses to Winnipeg's 7, they'd only be 2 points apart because
Yeah.
Toronto has one more win.
Exactly. There you go.
So it
Colorado.
would it would
tell me how
change,
many
and
points Colorado would lose out on, and they'd be even worse.
they would have 40 points instead of 43. They have 3 overtime losses. So
They have
it
a
would
goal.
hurt them
Have you
too
seen
much.
their goal differential thing? Hold on, I think I got it here.
But that just shows you how much of a difference it could make.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready? The 2014-15 Buffalo Sabres had a minus 113 goal differential.
14-15?
Yeah. The Colorado Avalanche are currently at minus 96, and they have 11 games left. The current cap era record is held by the Sabres.
At 100.
At 113. You think Colorado
yeah.
can bust
Oh, yeah.
that?
Well, while we're roasting teams,
Oh, yeah.
I found an article on the weekend that people on the internet are using Atlanta Thrashers stats to roast other NHL teams.
Okay,
Let's
what's
take a
the
look.
stat?
There's many.
Okay.
The Atlanta Thrashers have scored a goal at Staples Center more recently than the Buffalo Sabres have.
Say that again. Say that again.
The last time the Thrashers scored at Staples Center, October 12th, 2010, Chris Thorburn scored a goal.
Okay.
The last time the Sabres have scored a goal in Staples Center, 2009.
Holy. Oh,
So here's the breakdown. The last 4 years, they've been shut out every time they've been there. The year before that was a lockout, so they didn't play cross conference. The year before, they actually beat the Kings 4-2, but they played the game in Germany. 2010-11, they didn't play at Staples Center, so 2009 is the last time they scored a goal.
No. That's awful.
The Atlanta Thrashers have won a game more recently at Honda Center than the Calgary Flames have.
No.
That's true. That's a true
Flames'
stat.
last win was January 19th, 2004. The Thrashers won their October 15th, 2010.
Oh my god. Oh,
The
that's
Avalanche
so
are on
bad.
pace for 50 points. The last team to finish a full season with 50 points was the Atlanta Thrashers in their first season. The Thrashers have had a 30-goal score more recently than the Red Wings have.
Oh!
Kovalchuk scored 30 in 29-10. The Red Wings had 3 30-goal scorers the year before.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Thrashers have also made the playoffs more recently than the Oilers have.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, against Columbus?
No.
With the Rangers.
Rangers.
Yeah, Rangers.
But
There you go.
the Oilers made the playoffs the year before.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The Thrashers have won a game more recently in Chicago than the Leafs have.
Oh, no.
The Leafs' last win in Chicago was February 12th, 2003.
Oh, God.
The Thrashers last
No! That's 14 years!
the Thrashers' last win was in October 27, 2007. Last one.
That's, oh, here
The
we go.
Atlanta Thrashers last had a 100-point scorer in 2006-2007, which is more recent than 21 current NHL teams.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
That's funny.
that's a lot. Well, I
So-
bet you can name the 9 teams who have had 100 points.
Ottawa. No.
Yeah, there you go.
not
Caps.
Ottawa.
Cap-
I mean,
Pens.
Pittsburgh.
Chicago with Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
Ben.
Ben.
Jamie Benn.
No,
No, he didn't hit 100.
Canucks. Sedins.
City.
Sedins. Who else?
Definitely.
Oh, Stamkos.
Stamkos.
Stamkos for sure.
Stamkos.
Stamkos.
What about the Getzlav Perry?
Oh, one of them had. Yeah, I think
Uh-huh.
Perry hit it when he got 50. Because he passes sometimes.
Sometimes.
So we have 3 more to name. San Jose, you think Jumbo?
Probably.
And when's the last time they got it?
2006-7.
Oh, for sure Jumbo Joe's
I
at
hope so.
100 by then.
Rangers?
Who?
Who would
Rick
have?
Nash?
I don't know.
Has Rick Nash ever hit 100?
Or Yager with the Rangers, maybe?
Devils? Did the Devils have a 100-point guy? Parise, Kovalchuk?
That's not bad.
Wow, this is a lot of
Yeah, anyway, sorry. Oh, speaking of scoring, did you guys see one of the greatest defensemen of our generation scored a hat trick last week? Jacob Slavin from Denver got a hattie.
Did he?
Yeah, they won 8-4 over the Isles. He got
That was
a hattie.
a huge game.
He did it.
That was a huge
Mon,
game.
I'm cheering so hard against the Islanders right now because I just wanted to piss off and let the Leafs make the playoffs already.
Well,
Just go away.
the Leafs beat the Boston Bruins last night to sweep the season series against Boston.
Okay.
The first time they have done that in at least 4 games since how long, Cameron? What year? When was the last time you think the Leafs swept the Bruins in 4 or more games in a season series? When was the last time?
2013.
No.
2011.
No. You're thinking way too recent.
83.
Still too recent.
Shut the front door. What? 65.
Still too recent.
What? They swept the season series
of at least 4 games.
1942.
Still too recent.
Tell me this
1925-26.
Almost 100 years.
Yeah. When the Leafs were still the St. Pets. And let me tell you, those were beautiful jerseys they wore. I didn't like the numbers. The numbers can go piss off.
Sweet.
I didn't like the numbers.
Because I like. Have you seen the zoom in on like how they do the cross stitching across?
Yeah.
Is that why you didn't like it?
No, I just didn't like the fact there were blocks on.
They're felt too.
Yeah.
So you can't wear them outside. If you get a St. Pat's jersey, insider trading here. Don't wear felt jerseys outside. The numbers gets obliterated if even anyone touches it.
So right now the Leafs are 3 points up on the New York Islanders. They are 4 points up on the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are 1 point back of the Boston Bruins with a game in hand. And they, I believe, are like 5 points away from Ottawa. Can the Leafs make the playoffs?
Yes, it's happening. It is happening. Most certainly.
They have 11 games left. Realistically, I personally think they need to go 6-3-2 in 11 games. Realistically,
I think they can do that.
To for sure make the playoffs. People are saying right now, they're kind of saying, oh, if they go 5-5-1, they're at 81 points right now, I think. 5-5-1 gets them to 92 points. They'll be fine at that. I'm worried because the Islanders are playing so well that might not happen. So, but one team that was poised to make the playoffs at the beginning of the year has definitely dipped a lot, and that would be the LA Kings. They've scored 7 goals in the last 5 games or something like that. They're 1-3-1. Anze Kopitar is going to finish the year with less than 15 goals. What is wrong with the Kings?
Just said that.
No, but he normally scores over 20.
Yeah. What is wrong with the Kings? I don't know. Maybe they're the Sutter effect, where kind of after after a certain amount of years, I think around 5 or 6 years, it kind of gets stale.
Yeah.
And they just
their window's closed. I mean, their core that was so good 5 years ago was 5 years older.
Until they trade Jonathan Quick and regurgitate that whole bad boy. Unbelievable.
So one of the funniest.
Brian really made some sense there. I
never thought about that, actually.
I don't want that to happen.
Trade Quick, yeah.
Well, Quick doesn't have a no trade clause because Dean Lombardi doesn't do that. So Brian, when he was on the show, he said,
sign Bishop, trade Quick.
And who wouldn't go throw in the kitchen sink for Jonathan Quick? He's still got a few years.
Somebody made a really funny joke, and they said, well...
That would happen after the expansion draft.
Yeah, they'll protect both of them. Why wouldn't they?
Well, no, because they don't have to protect Bishop.
They don't. He's a UFA, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So, somebody made the joke, and
apparently UFAs, you do have to protect them.
They're going to do... It's Dean Lombardi. It's going to be hashtag shady shit. He does it. He'll call,
why would a team want to take a UFA?
I'm just saying though, because I read a bunch of lists of like mock protection lists, and guys who are UFAs are on there, like Thornton and Marlowe. They're UFAs, but they have to be protected.
People are stupid.
Yeah,
it was
George McPhee,
it was a score.
They know what they're doing for sure, but it's going to be a phone call like, "Hey George, don't touch these guys. I'll give you my second round pick."
You know what? For Nuggets,
you can have Voinov. He's very good.
Yeah, jeez.
No, somebody made the joke. They're like, well, clearly Ben Bishop's been an issue, and I really think that they should look at bringing Marc-Andre Fleury in, and then they can just put all 3 goalies in at one time to really intimidate their opponents so that they just give them 1 goal a game and they can win every game 1-0.
Put 1 goalie in net and dress the other 2 as D, but put their pads on.
Exactly.
Now you're thinking, Dan.
So they'd have the 3-headed...
Let Fleury take a face-off, please, just once.
Yeah, that's how you want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, I do.
Fucking monster.
Did you guys see the Austin Watson and Matt Dillon, when they had a fight, and then they both go in the box, and they're like, Dillon's like, "Hey, Watts, we really have to work on our cardio. We should mix that in this summer." And he's like, "Oh," and so-and-so, the training coach, whatever their name is, he's like, he doesn't mix in cardio. He's all about strength and not conditioning. I'll tweet the video. It's pretty funny. Just to see that they were punching each other in the face. A minute later, they're laughing about cardio in the box.
Okay, so we have some YouTube comments and some emails to get to.
Yes. We do.
So bring it on.
Okay, I'll read the emails first. I'll read the emails first. Okay, so, if I can get there. If I knew how to use my phone. There we go.
Time to read Cam's emails.
All right. No, first one was from Brett. Hi, guys. Brett from Wisconsin here, now in Minnesota. My opinion on the Hansel trade is that it was okay. Him being a huge guy makes the Wild scary down the middle size-wise. Hansel is also more of a defensive center that really helps with our depth. Did we overpay? Of course, because it's a deadline and he is a center. We also are stacked in the prospect end of it all. Prospect end, so all in all, not a bad trade. Also, to defend Cam a little, Gudas isn't that bad. Have you seen his advanced stats? Thanks for the podcast, guys. Keep up the good work.
I did see him roof a shot a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I just want to say about the prospect comment. Top 10 prospects not playing in the NHL, 3 of them belong to the Wild. It's going to be very scary.
Joel Eriksson?
Huh?
Joel Eriksson?
No,
He
it's Jordan Greenway, Kapril Kaprizov, who's actually number 1, and God, who the hell else? There's another guy. He also played on Team USA. Either way, 3 of them, but they own number 1. Flyers have the 6th ranked one with Philip Myers, or 5th with Philip Myers.
Are you reading your notes on your wrist?
No, I'm just reading my. Yep, that's where I keep my notes. And Jets have, I think number 8 is Roslovic.
Yeah.
So it's not bad. All right. So that was from Brett. Second comment from Luke. He sent 2, but these emails are from the 28th of February and the 1st of March. I just didn't read them because I don't know how to read. I just want to say he sent 2 emails, but then he did a follow-up email. The first email Luke sent, guys, again, not me. The first one he sent didn't have vowels. He committed and wrote vowels. He got a long-winded story about how he ran into a gentleman in Surrey, BC, allegedly who was looking for an internet cafe, which... Okay, you want me to just read the whole thing?
No.
I
don't know what you're
Paraphrase
saying
it.
right
I don't
now.
know what you're going for here.
Okay.
He went to Surrey, BC.
You know too much about this to not have...
Yeah, I read the email!
So, he went to Surrey, BC, ran into a guy wearing a Pittsburgh Penguins hat, asked him if he was a Penguins
that's it,
fan,
for
and the guy
sure.
didn't know.
No, there's no Peds fan involved.
Or did he drive through his BC, Surrey, and then hit Langley and just watch the sign, then sit next to his friend, who will just not call Carey, who's actually Carey, and yell Langley in a weird voice.
It's Langley!
Exactly.
Langley! Okay, if you've ever been to Langley, BC,
No.
or drive by, they have the most... There's a sign, Langley, BC, surrounded by flowers, like 30 miles outside of the city. It's the most obnoxious sign I've
where
ever
the
seen in
city
my
starts?
life. Anyways,
Cam knows too much about this to not
you guys
have
are
this email.
dicks. Like, there's no way I'm ever going to prove it. But I'll read his email anyways.
Read it.
It was exciting. All right. Hey, what's up, guys? It's your friendly neighborhood viewer, Luke, not Cam Trottier. I was going to send this before your next episode, Backgammon, but I got too busy with work. I'm writing this now, though, just before listening to the new one. LOL about the tattoo stuff. I don't remember that. Did we talk about tattoos?
I don't know.
I don't know if I was on that episode.
We don't know what you did when we were gone.
Unfortunately, I don't live in Winnipeg, but I do travel sometimes. Not this
believe
season.
you.
But it's realistically possible.
Cam doesn't travel, it's true.
It's realistically possible I'm there for a Flyers game within the next 2 seasons. I'm from Halifax.
Well, you're going to a game tonight.
Yeah. Fuck you guys. And after 4 years in Calgary, I've recently moved back. You know what sewers me about this too? Is that, like, legit, this isn't me. But I was reading this.
Yeah,
4
you
years,
sure?
I was a Flames fan for 4 years, so it's really sewering me here. Have recently moved back. I have some funny stories about being at Flyers games in the Saddle Dome. Despite my distance, so I'm sure I could probably find some way to contribute to your show. And LOL, this Cam angle has been funny to hear develop. Take care for now, boys. Hit me back. Cheers. P.S. Radko Gudas rules. Not me. You guys are dicks. Not
Okay, YouTube
me.
comment time.
Yeah, YouTube comment. Here we go.
Well, Luke, until
Notice
you're
how he-
on the show with
Notice
us,
how he
to prove that you're not-
How he said he could give you memories of the Flyers in the Saddle Dome, but he didn't actually do it.
yeah, interesting.
Like,
Interesting.
there's no... this is the worst. I feel like I'm in the film Split. It's not...
mean, Cam is-
maybe I am.
Cam was in the Saddle Dome.
He was.
He brought his swim trunks.
You dick. You're a dick.
Okay, email
There was
time.
room for
Or
couldn't
Every
comment.
time I have to.
Yeah.
Deli
Okay.
time.
All right. Well, there's a monster comment from Mr. Ryan Lang. There's a lot of things going wrong with finding out why Maurice should be getting another contract and so on, and go on a rant about it because it makes me feel like I'm going to read this as he
I like
wrote
how you
this.
change the tone of your voice based on the email.
Yeah.
Like you gauge it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because the last email, he's like, I'm going to talk about this in my voice because it is my voice. And this one, it's like, I'm going to talk in someone else's voice
That's
because
true.
I am not this
That
For
is
person.
true.
sure, yeah.
That is true.
Okay, I'm going to read this with punctuation not there. There's a lot of things going wrong with and finding out why Maurice should be getting another contract and so on, and go on a rant about it because it makes me feel like other people care about this team and want to put pressure when things are going not in the right direction. Comma. In my opinion, Bufflin and the third pairing D and not having a veteran goalie to help out Connor and net is what really hurting the team. Comma. No periods.
It's
That
one,
and the
it's one
fa-
thought.
Yeah.
This is a great
That
sentence.
and the fact that Chevy should fire the coach and get someone that knows how to run a power play, and this team is starting to look really good. Comma. Oh, and another thing they need to quit Thorburn like a bad habit, and can they
I
please
agree
get
with that.
Tolby Enstrom to waive his no trade clause?
Yeah.
Clause. CLAWS. Hold on. When I read trade clause, like animal clause. From now on, when I hear a guy got trade clause, I just imagine him like walking into the office with foam clause, being, got my trade clause on. Look out, boys.
Hey, Toby, wait,
Does he have a
waive your
trade clause?
Woo! He's wearing foam glove. Like the Bruins ones. Trade clause. Toby, take your trade clause off. Never. He's got him duct taped to his hand.
You gave them to me 5 years ago.
You're never getting rid of these.
Clause
Okay.
aside, I agree with that too.
Yeah. Last one that really irks me is Stewart having one more year of 2 point something on his contract. I tried trading him. You can't. Nobody wants him. He is that unless. Unless.
Did he say he tried trading him?
Yeah, I guess in NHL.
Hello. Can I speak to Don Sweeney, please? Who is this?
Paul Maurice. No, Chevy.
My name is Kevin Cheveldayoff.
Do you think if we take Boris Valavik back, we'll take Mark Stewart back?
Maybe. All right.
Take Zdeno
The
Chara,
sad
please.
thing is, I take Stewart over Postma.
I would too.
Yeah. It's insane the coach puts him on the ice and not Melchiori. See plenty topics for you, so don't give me the excuse of saying nothing to talk about with the Jets. It doesn't have to always be positive. Everything you
Is that what
cover...
you said last week? There was nothing to talk about?
Well, we did, but every podcast, we've literally covered everything you just said. We talk about every podcast. But thank you for the comment, Mr.
Close
Ryan
notes, Jets
Lang.
suck.
Oh, he actually followed up comment.
Thanks for your one thought.
Yeah.
Where's
exactly.
the beef? Are we getting to the beef? Or is that the beef?
Oh, no, I'm not done. He followed up. You really don't focus on the Jets, so it makes sense to change your pick. You talk about the Flyers
Wow.
and Maple Leafs or any other team. If your goal for trying to get more subscribers is why you don't talk about the Jets, then you're wasting your time. I come in here to listen to stuff about the Jets. We already have biased media for other teams. They're called DSN and Sportsnet.
This is what happens when you run the show by yourself for a week.
There, THERI.
This is what happens.
There.
This is what happens. People hate us.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to.
This was from last week's episode. Greg was on it.
Oh,
Can I
that's-
talk?
That's both your faults.
Go.
Just saying. That's both your
Okay.
faults.
Thank you for the comment.
I mean, he's
Mr.
right,
Ryan.
but-
Thanks for the comment, Ryan. I understand your thought process, but if you go to any podcast that is a team-centric, except maybe a Legal Curve, but I'm not sure, I don't listen to a Legal Curve, especially Steve Dangle podcast, they're a Leafs podcast that doesn't talk about the Leafs that often. Because you know what? It's hard to talk about the same things week in, week out, and people who come to us week in, week out don't want to listen to it every single time. They want new things and new topics. And that's why we try to freshen up. That's why it's nice to have people that always aren't on the side of the Jets so we can talk about other ideas. Because if we just focused on the Jets, the entire year would be talking about how great Line is and how he should be the Rookie of the Year. And then Ehlers being great, Scheifele being great, how shitty our goaltending is, and how bad our defense are.
I'm pretty sure.
And that would be every podcast, and that would be boring.
I'm pretty sure that you go back 3 years ago, and we probably talked about the same thing with the Jets for 3 years.
And it's tough.
I'm just saying.
We
Nothing-
want to.
it hasn't really changed a whole
You
lot.
got to keep it fresh, and
Yeah.
that's what we try to do by
Fresh.
talking about other teams.
We
So,
don't-
no, we're not trying to gain subscribers. It's
We
we
don't-
do this show for fun.
We don't want to be the Jets
If there's
management
anyone
of
that
podcasts.
agrees-
Do nothing. Same thing always.
If there's anyone that
Stand
agrees,
pat,
if there's
do nothing.
anybody that agrees with the biased media, it's me because it's 100% true.
yeah, no.
Because
Yeah,
the Leafs are the next Blackhawks according to TSN yesterday, so that's a thing.
they are.
That's a
The
thing.
future is out.
Until they miss the playoffs
They're,
next year.
Yo, they say we're gonna kick your shit out of
When
you.
they win the division next year.
The sports guy commented at Ryan. I disagree, man. I'm fine with them talking about the Jets, but I love when they talk about the rest of the NHL.
And
they
wrestling.
do talk about the Jets the most out of any other team. Like 40 minutes a week on average, usually.
Probably 25 to 30.
Okay, and now Luke Trottier commented. Luke commented.
So
I have to
Cam
purpose this. No, I didn't.
Cam came in to defend himself.
You know-
Dan, no.
Do
Dan
you-
gets Seward on this one.
Do you
Not
notice-
me. I swear to
Do
God.
you notice how before the podcast, Cam says, "Don't read the comments."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Luke, we'll watch when I get home. I must say about the last episode. With no Dan, there's a lot less wrong opinions. I didn't write them. Jokes, kind of. Y'all have a good roster when you have a full bench. By the way, I did end up sending that email. And that's when I checked the emails. Dan, that wasn't me, I swear to God.
So,
Dan doesn't believe me.
That's fine.
That's when Luke's going to start.
It's not every day that a fake person tells you you're wrong.
It wasn't me.
The problem is
this
like,
is bullshit.
when we find out that the ultimatum happens is we invite Luke onto the podcast.
He shows up.
And he shows up. And
Luke,
we'll
I
feel
swear
like
to God, if you're
such
ever in
dicks.
Winnipeg, we're doing the podcast. If we did a podcast before, like earlier that day, fuck it, we're screwing that podcast. We're doing the next one. We have to. All right.
Thank you for all your comments and your emails. We welcome anything on our YouTube page, Last Man In Podcast. We welcome all emails at lastmaninpc@gmail.com. Always tweet us at lastmaninpc. You could always
Regis.
watch us, listen to us anywhere.
Regis filled in.
Anywhere you get your podcasts. And last thing.
Regis filled in. What? Last thing is what?
The He's Your Hopefuls.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's do that.
Why is there a Trojan app on my phone? Okay. I don't know why. I'm on the score. It just blew up a Trojan app. I don't know.
Okay.
Regardless, Detroit, Vancouver, New Jersey, Arizona, and Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado and Arizona are both eliminated from the playoffs?
Will Detroit be eliminated by the next time that we do a podcast?
Potentially.
Everyone's clinching around them.
History making.
Clinching or clinching?
Both.
Clinch.
Well,
Detroit's
so far
clinching,
Washington,
everyone's
Columbus, and Chicago have all clinched playoff spots. I think if Pittsburgh gets a point tonight, they clinch. Yeah.
If Columbus wins the President's Trophy, I'll buy you guys Slurpees.
Yo. Hell yeah.
Because that could actually happen.
Yeah.
I'll buy you guys Slurpees.
Yeah, they are tied right now. So, just to point out Dan's theory, if it was 1-16, current playoff matchups.
Do it.
Washington, Toronto, Columbus, St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Boston. That'd be a fun one. Chicago, Nashville.
Naturally. Or St. Louis, it has to be.
Rangers, Calgary.
Okay.
Minnesota, Ottawa.
That's an interesting one.
San Jose, Anaheim. And then Montreal, Edmonton.
See? Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Could be
Connor
interesting.
McDavid go after Price for 7-game series.
Yeah.
He's very good.
They both are very good.
Yep. Oh, did you guys see the Kachuk? Matt Kachuk elbowed a Doughty?
2-game suspension.
Doughty doesn't like Mr. Kachuk. He said that kid's like...
Apparently, a lot of people in the league don't like Mr. Kachuk.
But he should be...
He's getting a bad rap.
The Marchand rep?
Kind of. Just, he plays on the edge too much.
Yeah.
I like this nightly in and out points race. It's fantastic.
For what?
It's fun.
Oh, for the league.
Yeah. Everyone's like, not anyone but Marchand. And he's like, oh,
Honestly-
wait, it's 3 points.
Honestly, I wouldn't even care. Someone different.
Yeah, it is. I like it. All right. Gregory.
I already said everything.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
We're done.
Oh, no.
Philbin.
Regis filled in.
Did you miss that shot?
Fuck.
Oh, predictions for tonight's game.
Leafs. Oh, Leafs are playing.
Leafs.
Austin Matthews.
The Leafs
Jets
will neither
and
win
Flyers go
or
on the
lose.
ice. Hey,
Jets-
what?
Jets 4. Flyers 1.
With that awful
wrong.
decor? Ooh, I don't even know.
Which awful decor? Both teams?
Well,
Because both
that's
teams
true.
have bad decors.
You know what I want tonight?
I'm excited for
But the Jets have a
Ivan
bad decor with half the bad decor.
Okay, am I
hurt,
going to
so
wear a
it's-
Jets? I don't
really
know if I
bad.
should wear a Jets jersey tonight or not. Because if I'm Provorov or Travis Konechny score, I'm going to cheer.
You're allowed to.
And just, yeah, you can
But if
share
I
with
wear
the
a
Cam
Jets
was on
jersey?
TV year one cheering a Jets goal in a Washington jersey.
That's fair.
Yeah, literally.
Half-
I'll chow down on a donut with an ice cap in my hand, which I owe to Gregory as well.
I will gladly take not an ice cap, but
Okay.
I'll gladly take something else.
It's okay.
Let's
we can get off
say
the menu.
neither of these teams can play defense.
6,
6-8. 6-4 Jets.
You know what? I'm okay with. I want the Flyers to win, but I'm okay if they don't, as long as my one. No, I have many asks for tonight. You know what? I'll say my 3. I'll name 3. I want a Josh Morrissey goal because, God damn it,
You always want a Morrissey
I've
goal.
never seen it live, ever. Actually, that's a lie. I've seen him score. I was at the game when he scored. I was in the washroom. And then I came back and I see Morrissey like going first in line. I'm like, no! I was so mad. But, okay, Shakes.
Sound like me when I always hoped they dropped the cheerleader at the Bomber game when they did it once and I was in the freaking bathroom.
You're cheering for injury. Okay, Shakes goal. Provorov or Konechny goal. A breakaway goal from either or. I don't care. No, I
A
do.
breakaway defenseman goal.
Then by Provorov because he could do it. Or Shakes.
You know if that's happening, it's Buff. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It'll only
true.
be the second time. In
The
same
most
building inside
number one wish though, Gudis goal. I want a Gudis
Good.
goal because
The
I want you
Good.
guys to see it live.
The dude.
The Gudis. All right. Closing word.
I hope that guy realizes that when it's playoff time and the Jets aren't there, that we'll talk about something that isn't the Jets.
No, we'll talk about the Jets 24/7 all day.